Hello everyone and welcome back to another weather update. Tonight we'll quickly look at the severe weather risk for tonight in the central US, and we'll also take a quick look at the slight risk over parts of northeastern North Carolina and then into Virginia. But first let's start off with our 01Z day 1 outlook, and as of right now we do have an enhanced risk from Kansas all the way up into South Dakota right there. And then we have a slight risk around that from Texas all the way into South Dakota again. And then we have a marginal risk that goes all the way from Texas into South Dakota again. And then all the way from pretty much Kansas and Nebraska into Virginia, North Carolina. And then we also have that marginal risk out here and the slight risk right there. And then if we look at our tornado risk, no tornado risk in North Carolina and Virginia, but we do have a 10% risk with a hatch risk from Kansas all the way into Nebraska with a hatch risk inside of that, a 5% all the way from northern Texas, north central Texas, all the way into southern South Dakota. And then we also have a 2% risk from central Texas all the way into South Dakota again. With this, we also have a 30% wind risk in Nebraska and into Kansas. And then we have a 15% from southern South Dakota all the way into southern Kansas there. And we also have another 15% risk in Texas right here into Oklahoma. And we also have another 15% risk in northeastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia right there into a very small portion right there. And then we also have a 5% around those all the way from Texas and then all the way into Wyoming, and then from there still into North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, uh, um, West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, and then looking at our hail risk, pretty much the same thing with that 50% risk in North Carolina and Virginia, and then with that 5% all the way spanning from North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, right there, South Dakota, and then as we have that 5% around that, all the way down to Texas, and then in this 5%, we have a 30% risk with a hatch risk surrounding that, all the way from southern South Dakota into south central Kansas, and then with a 15% risk around that, all the way from the far, far, far eastern tip of Wyoming, all the way into central Texas, with a hatch risk and that 15% risk right here, and then we also have that other hatch as I just mentioned right here. Now taking a quick look at radar right now, we do have some storms that are sort of weakening across southeastern Virginia into North Carolina, but we do have a special marine warning for close to Virginia Beach and close mainly in the Chesapeake Bay near Hampton as well. Then in northern Kentucky right here into LaGrange and Buckner, we do have a flash flood warning as well. This flash flood warning will expire at 12:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and the special marine warning in Virginia will expire at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Quickly looking at the 00HRRR, it shows some kind of isolated storms trying to develop into Kansas, and then as you go forward, you do have some more clusters trying to form with those in Kansas, and then you have some more into Nebraska a little bit. And then as you go forward, you're going to have to watch these clusters and cells with that tornado risk as well as that wind risk as they move east. And then as you can see with these clusters here, definitely still with that tornado risk, but you're not going to have that tornado risk is going to try to it's going to calm down a little bit as you lose some instability, but you're still going to have it throughout most of the night in parts of the central U.S., but still going into late tonight into early tomorrow morning. On Tuesday, you do have quite a few clusters showing up all the way from parts of northern Oklahoma all the way up into South Dakota right there, and then still even into Iowa right there, and then really that wind threat will really get going very very late tonight into very early tomorrow morning, and then this still tries to this will be just a very long line of clusters, and this will still try to move east into Iowa, and you'll see that wind threat shift east tomorrow into Tuesday, and just still watching all of these cells for sure as you get into early to mid morning, and then into late morning, and then the afternoon hours for sure as you get these cells just moving east in this very long line, uh, still heading east. Tomorrow on Tuesday, you do have an enhanced risk in northern Missouri into western Illinois, and then into central, and then pretty much southeast Iowa right there. And then around that is a slight risk all the way from Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, and to Arkansas, all the way up into Iowa right there. And then we have a marginal risk all the way from far eastern Texas, all the way up into Wisconsin, and then all the way into Virginia and West Virginia and Ohio right there. You do have a 10% tornado risk with this from northern Missouri into western Illinois, and then into pretty much central and southeastern Iowa right there with the 10%, and then the hatch risk inside of that at 5% all the way from Arkansas into Iowa again, and then into Illinois and Missouri, and then at 2% all the way from far northeastern Texas all the way into Wisconsin and Minnesota, southern Wisconsin and Minnesota. And then with our hail risk, we do have a pretty large hail risk for tomorrow, a 30% risk from northern Missouri into Iowa again, and then into far western Illinois, and a hatch risk around that with a 15% risk, and then they have that hatch that expands into the 15% risk as well, and the 15% is all the way from Arkansas into far northern Iowa, and then a 5% risk all the way from Texas into pretty much Minnesota right there. I know this is a very, very quick update. I apologize for it being so quick, but I haven't been able to really haven't had the time to make any videos recently. I just want to apologize for that, but I'm trying to get some videos going over the next couple of days, because I know there's a lot of severe weather going on, but I really do appreciate all of y'all watching, and again, I do apologize for the lack of videos, mainly the last week or two in the last couple of weeks, but I do hope all of y'all stay safe tonight. Live in any of these risk areas in here, and then I'll try to maybe get a video out tomorrow, but if not, I'll just do a really quick update like this one. But I hope all of y'all have a great night.